So, continuing our discussions with people in the industry at SIT 17, I'm here with Srinivasan from Spoke, a new name in our market. Welcome.
Thank you.
There's lots of ITSM vendors out there. You guys are a startup. Been going for how long?
Around a year now.
Okay, and developing, growing as you go, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I suppose my question is, what do you bring to the market? What do you think the market has needed? Because we could say, and I've been looking at the market for forever, there's loads of players in the market.
Agreed.
What's been missing that you think the market needs?
Yeah, so we started Spoke a year ago, and the first thing that we wanted to figure out was, what are the gaps in the existing market? Essentially, your question of why we're doing what we're doing. And one contrarian view that I have is that, yes, the space is incredibly crowded, but honestly, a lot of the tools are very similar. Essentially, capability-wise, design-wise, how they're used, it's similar. So it essentially becomes a sales and implementation game. And so what we did was we went and did this market survey and tried to understand, look, what are the gaps, both from a product perspective as well as who is served. And the sort of three themes that came out of it. Theme number one, product and design flows in ITSM tools, specifically case management or just ticketing, honestly hasn't evolved for the last 10, 15 years. They look the same, you're still largely desktop optimized, they're not convenient to modern interfaces. And so the first thing that we wanted to do was just try to build with 2017 technology, 2016 technology, fresh, responsive, super quick, beautifully designed, multi-channel, easy to use system, right? So we thought that a lot of these products look the same, there's an opportunity to design something better. So that's one aspect. The second aspect, I think if you look at machine learning and AI over the last several years, in the last 2 or so, there's been a sort of steady, there's been like sort of an inflection point in terms of the utility of machine learning systems for workplace software, for business software. So internal ticketing in particular tends to have a lot of repetition. You're very rarely the first or last person to create an incident on a certain topic. And so we're also at a point where there's a lot of really usable machine learning technology that we can leverage. So that's number two. And then the final aspect, I think, is most of these vendors or most of the players in the space internally are largely focused on, I'd say, larger companies, versus we think there's a lot of white space in terms of effectively serving teams of, let's say, 200 to 500 people, or like 200 to 500 person companies. Not just IT teams, but also the HR team, also office admin, legal, biz dev, whatever else. So I think we agree it's crowded, and so we're like trying to like focus on differentiation points around design, AI, and applicability across the enterprise.
Okay, so I mean, in terms of target, you're at the kind of SME mid-market with a focus across the organization rather than just ITSM.
That's exactly right. Think very much like a Zendesk's initial model or Slack's initial model, where even if we serve a larger company, we expect to come bottoms up through a business unit where like a team of 200 inside a larger company says, hey, Spoke is really useful for us. We're going to try it out.
One thing that interests me about startups, particularly at the moment, because there's so much kind of focus on the whole DevOps Agile way of doing things, and I suppose it's still seen as the kind of unicorn versus the dinosaur, waterfall against, continuous. Have you been able to use those kind of techniques in the way that you've developed and designed your products?
Oh, absolutely, right? I think, so just very tactically, yes, like most of our team is engineers and designers, almost all of us are from Google or Twitter, tend to be very, very sort of disciplined engineering shops in terms of how they actually develop, how they iterate, how we do sprints, how we do feedback on the sprints, issue tracking, et cetera. So just the way we've developed our product uses those techniques. But at a larger level, one of the reasons we're focused on mid-market customers initially is they tend to be quicker in terms of feedback. So we're not going into a box and building a tool for 2 years in the hope that it's the perfect tool. we started coding last August. We've been running pilots since February. And we add 1 or 2 companies every week, we get feedback from them and we iterate. So we're trying to like apply that even to our business process, not just the way we build the product.
Okay. And in terms of how you go to market, the approach for, because again, this is very marketing led, this area of the market. It has to be, because it's, as you say, the products are very similar. Are you taking any different approach to that? I mean, I know you got VC, haven't you?
Yeah, so we're a VC funded company. I think some of it is going to be the same. Essentially, marketing matters. But even if you think about our brand, the colors we use, just the way we're positioning ourselves, we're trying to stand out just in terms of a extremely well-defined brand. Let me put it this way: like the summary of Spoke in our the summary of why we're doing Spoke is we believe simple technology leads to happier employees, leads to more productive organizations, and so everything that we do is simple and it's happy. And so I think there's going to be. We're going to try to do content. We're going to try to do like sort of generic marketing, but at the end of the day, the position. We're not a feature list, we're basically just a super easy to use tool, is how we'll differentiate ourselves.
And that's a good message for the younger generation, the younger market coming through. I think we have over-engineered ourselves to death for a long time, both in terms of tools and how we do things, so that's quite a nice message.
No, thank you. And I actually would say, I think it's equally applicable even to sort of existing, forgive the phrase, old school companies or old school tools, just because I don't think anyone enjoys that form with 200 fields and a drop down with 35 entries, right? That's what we're trying not to do very, very hard.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Hope to see you at a few more events like this over here in the coming months and years.
Yeah, no, the one thing I'll say, this is we just started the company, so this is our first sort of UK-based ITSM event, and I just want to like sort of commend the community here. It's clearly a passionate and as well as like very integrated community, so it's awesome.
Thank you. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, appreciate it.